Welcome back to Fitness or Fiction. Today, we're going to do what you never do in a fight with your significant other. We're going to rehash the past. We are going to revisit the conversation around massage guns. Are they worth it? Was the episode that we chatted about them originally. Today, we're going to discuss exactly this one right here. The atomic size, atomic power Hydragun.
The Hydragun Atom.
Now the Hydragun Atom is a massage gun. It's a small massage gun, and they happen to be one of our sponsors. The big thing that we want to accomplish today is what we think the value of massage guns is, whether we use them ourselves, and what we think about the Hydragun Atom in specific.
So we'll be doing a light little unboxing review of this bad boy near probably the middle to the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's open up the idea of massage guns. They've gained a ton of popularity in the last few years. Percussive massagers is what they call them in research.
I think they really popped off about 2020, 2018, something like that. They were all over the place.
Yeah.
Exploded.
Do you use one?
I do have one. I do use it from time to time. Not often. What about you?
I do have one. It's funny because like a lot of people hate them, and it's because they've been oversold in some ways. It's not going to be all of that in a bag of potato chips. They have a specific use. They have specific value to offer, and when you try to expand that beyond what they actually offer, then you're going to see people get sensitive about it.
Yeah, I think when people get sensitive about massage guns, it's their marketing and the advertisement. They say they do these 10 different things and they try to blow it up like it's all in one pill that's going to fix all your woes. And it does all those things great, but realistically, it might only do 3 to 4 things good.
Yeah, well, I think that people are annoyed because of the hype.
Yeah.
So you want to cut through that?
Fitness or fiction hype.
Okay, so what are the values? What do they actually do?
So in our we did an episode on these months ago, I think.
Yeah.
We're old dogs now in the podcast game, especially you.
Yeah, I am the old dog.
So we're looking at all the research, all like the meta-analysis breakdowns of what actually these massage guns do. There was testing done, like, blind testing done. Blind testing was hard to do with the massage guns though, because I can't gun you with the massage gun and have you be like, you don't know what's going on.
Pretend I didn't touch you.
Unless I'm smacking this calf while I'm like massage gunning this calf, trying to give you some distraction. So there was no real blind testing done, but from what I recall, benefits to the massage guns was it did show that it increased range. So
that's true.
That was a true claim that it increased range. One of the other things that massage guns promote a lot is that they promote or increase recovery, speed up recovery.
Yeah, and that one's kind of out for debate a little bit because it talks about delayed onset muscle soreness.
DOMS.
DOMS. Yeah, it talked about DOMS a little bit, and I think that the result there is kind of a pain result. Like you slap around your tissue really crazy, you're not going to have that dull ache anymore because you've reset the pain receptors in that area. So they did report decreased delayed onset muscle soreness, but we don't really know whether that's because the recovery was better or if it just decreased the pain. But the point that I would make is if you know that those muscles are beat up, you're going to rest appropriately. Would you like the pain to just go away?
Yeah.
I would say yes.
If you're a person that does not enjoy being sore after a workout, then utilizing a massage gun probably lightly would probably have some value in reducing that soreness. I kind of like a little bit of soreness. I don't know about you.
Makes me feel like I did something.
And there's a lot of people like that, but I also know there's a lot of people in the other category who don't like the soreness. So
fact.
So increased range, assistance with delayed onset muscle soreness.
Yeah.
And
so the increased range one is one that's worth talking about a little bit because they've done a bunch of different studies on them, and some of them they talk about like max voluntary contraction as well, previous and post, and there really wasn't a big change in that in most of the studies, but in a lot of them there's a big change in the range of motion. Specifically, a few of them that we found was the gastroc. There was a big change in the calves.
Yeah, trying to increase the result or the test that we went over was over dorsiflexion.
Yeah, that's right.
So massage gunning your calf and then going into dorsiflexion, which is like trying to push your knees over your toes. You get an increased range after that. It is noteworthy to say though that from what I recall from the study is it was only an increase for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be short term.
I don't think that's a bad thing per se.
Well, no, but like you need to know how to apply it properly.
Yes.
And like if you're going to utilize it, it's like, okay, well, I'm a little sore. I'm going to go ahead and use this and see if it helps. Hey, it did help. That's nice. Hey, oh, I want to train this tissue, but like I really feel bound up there. Okay, well, treat that tissue a little bit with the massage gun. I don't care. You could do some active mobility too, but if you would prefer to just kind of get that in on your drive over to the gym, fair enough, double duty.
Yeah.
But then once you get to the gym, like you got to train that, man. And this is a thing that we've talked about often, like the amount of range of motion that somebody has, it's not this magical thing where you're going to go see a physio or a chiro or any therapist and they're just going to give you, oh, they fixed it.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of a broken narrative. You need to make the connection between your brain and that tissue. So it is your job, your work to do. And even something like static stretching, can it help you connect with the tissue better? Not as good as learning how to move and control that contraction. So it's a real similar game where it's like, yeah, can it help you open up space to train? Yeah, but then you got to train it. Yeah. If you want that value. So I think the other thing that we could say is that there's a relatively good backing is that you'd have increased circulation.
Yeah.
So like increased circulation from these is very easy because you're pushing blood in and out by smacking the tissue around, right?
Yeah.
So increased circulation to an area that you're having a problem with. That I have a Theragun at home.
Yeah, which is probably one of the more well-known brands.
Yeah, and more expensive brands.
Which is good because that allows you to compare a little bit against this gun. And this gun is much smaller.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to do. It's got a different handle and it's a little bigger, the Theragun, so we'll talk about that. But I specifically got that because I have a neurological condition. For me, that causes spasm sometimes, especially in my lower limb and especially on my left side.
Yeah.
And when things are acting up really bad, I can try to train the tissue, but I don't have good awareness of that tissue. If I'm having a hard time to get it to do anything, if I treat it with the massage gun first, it does help. And like that's not exactly secondhand information. Like that's firsthand. If I'm trying to do the following and then I massage gun and I do the same thing, I actually have the ability to train that a little better.
Yeah.
And usually it comes down to like foot and calf, adductor and hip flexor. Those are the kind of the zones that really bother me.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time as a blanket statement cutting something completely out. I mean, people do that. I don't think it's the best thing to do. If you're using a massage gun for a specific purpose in a greater picture of I'm going to learn how to use this tissue, I think that it can be very beneficial.
Yeah. So we got increased range, DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, increased circulation, and specifically cramping or spastic tissue. It can kind of help give us some different feedback so that it relaxes a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so even like for me, without having a neurological issue, if I go into some mobility drills, which I've done intensive 90-90s trying to do internal rotation out of my hip, which is very weak and it'll start to cramp. You see a lot of people, I'm sure you run your mobility course and you'll see people get cramps and run away from it and stuff.
Yeah.
And if it's constantly cramping, gunning it is potentially a solution that might help a little bit.
Yeah, especially if you've trained that tissue the day before.
I'm actually curious, sorry to interrupt you. I'm curious, I've seen people who get calf cramps and stuff like that where their calf just locks up entirely. I've never actually done it before, but if somebody's calf just locks up, if you were able to utilize that massage gun, that percussive therapy, if it would actually help chill it out or not. Like a lot of people run in and they'll kind of try to rub it and chill it out, and they'll try to or they'll just hold it and squeeze it and lock it down until it chills. I've never been in a position where I've got this gun and run up to them.
Well, I don't know if in the moment it would be great, but I'll tell you if I have a problem with my foot and I keep I'll stretch it out. I'll try to train the ankle. I'll try to get it moving, and the bottom of my foot keeps cramping really bad. I will take the gun straight to it with one of the targeted ends on it. Yeah. And I can get it to shut up.
Yeah.
So
for me, like a practical use of a massage gun for me, especially right now, this ankle's broken, and it's been broken for about 3 weeks. Once I take this boot off, I know that all the tissue behind the calf, everything is tight and jacked up. Like it doesn't feel good. So once the boot actually comes off and I start trying to train it again, I'll probably utilize a massage gun to hit it just a little bit to increase my range of motion, and then actually train that range once I have it lightly unlocked, doing dorsiflexion drills, front foot elevated, split squat, assisted, trying to dig into it a little bit.
And will you see practitioners to help you along the road? Will you likely see a massage therapist and likely see a physio?
Yeah, that's the plan.
So that's what I think the other issue with massage guns is. It is not a replacement for a therapist.
No, absolutely
However, if you don't want to have to see the therapist all the time and you're just looking to use it for that specific purpose of I'm training this ankle is a problem, I'm getting more range so I can train that range, that's when it's really well utilized. I don't think that people should be presenting massage guns as instead of.
Yeah.
I think it should be used as a tool in its lane where it should be.
I think ultimately we can both agree that massage guns are a want, not a need. They're a nice luxury toy that has some value and it has some perks, but it's absolutely not something that you need to be successful in your fitness journey.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's it's a nice to have. It is.
But it's the same thing. You don't necessarily need a squat rack in order to be in great shape. You don't need to run to be in great shape.
That's right. But in my realm, I'm not going to be going to see a massage therapist every time I have a problem with my foot, especially in the evening. The need to go and book and figure out the time, it's days later, right?
Yeah.
So there is a place for the massage gun, in my view. It's a little smaller place than it's been made out to be, but if it's used well, it can be really valuable.
Yeah.
When we start talking about Hydragun Atom, the thing that I notice, like when you open it up, look at the packaging. Isn't this nice?
It's actually, I was very surprised Hydragun, so thank you, because it was very well put together machine.
Well, and opening up the packaging, it's like Apple level packaging. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's high end.
It's nice.
When you open it up, you got this little guy. And for me, opening it up, I was surprised. It's quite small because my Theragun is double this size.
So
it's
yeah,
a big triangle.
I have a massage gun that's actually a gun. It's big. It's a big juggernaut.
Yeah.
And this guy is essentially, my cell phone is an iPhone 13 Pro, and this is about the size of an iPhone.
Yeah.
Or my hand.
So
he's just a little guy.
It's got the ends that just kind of click off. We got a flat one, kind of the
bullet,
middle of the road, and then the bullet that you got there. I'm masochistic. I'm going to go ahead and use that guy.
You're just going to go right into the bullet.
So turning it on is easy. You just hold the power button and it turns on.
So one of the claims or perks of Hydragun is they say that it's quieter than most. I'm sure it's quieter than the Theragun because I've used the Theragun and the Theragun slaps. It slaps good.
Yeah, it does.
But it's a noisy bugger.
It is, yeah.
This guy's pretty quiet.
It has 3 speeds, very similar. Very similar to the Theragun. It has 3 speeds.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the microphone.
Yeah.
This is level 1. And yeah, she's pretty quiet.
Yeah. I like how small it is. For how small it is, if you put it on your tissue and push, you can get a pretty decent amount of pressure.
Yeah, so I believe when I looked into their stats, because they sent me a stat sheet on it, they said that it caps out at about 20 pounds of pressure, like it shuts off. Not shuts off, but it might stop slapping.
You can stall it.
Yeah, it'll stall out, which I think is actually a way to save the motor, preserve the motor in it. But even still, I watched you really try to dig into yourself. And,
yeah, I'm leaning on it.
Yeah, and it's juicy.
Yeah.
So some perks of this little guy, he's fully steel. He's way more solid than I was expecting. Like my gun at home is plastic. It's a big plastic one. This one's all, not steel, but he's all metal. So he's solidly built. And his charger is a USB-C. So that means that if you lose the charger, they're easy to replace.
Or your cat eats it. My cat ate a charger yesterday.
Oh yeah, you have a kitten now, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so if your cat destroys your charger, the cable is just a USB-C, which is pretty standard amongst most products now. So that's actually a huge perk that you don't need to go and try to buy a new specific charger for the guy.
When you look at people putting these against each other and giving them reviews, oftentimes what they'll check on is things like ergonomics and things like that. This one, because it's just USB-C, that's a huge perk. But also the ergonomics of it, like it's really easy to get into a specific place. Grabbing on in different positions is very easy. I'm actually impressed with the power of it. Like they went against the big guys in Theragun, and I don't think it feels much different than the big one that I have.
I've never used this bullet before.
Oh, it's spicy, yeah.
Let's try it. Oh, my calf's all wrapped up.
The targeted one for me is the one that I use the most because I use it mostly on my calves and feet.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to use it on the hip flexor, it kind of needs to be specific too.
Oh, my soleus. It's always jacked up.
Why is it jacked up on that side? The other side's broken.
My soleus is always jacked up, so this actually feels really nice. Yeah, it feels good in the hands. I actually prefer it over my other gun, and I think my other gun is just a random one I bought off Amazon, so it does kind of show you that quality. It actually matters. So the perks of this one, again, is it's so small. It fits in your gym bag nicely. They actually also advertised it that it would be great for like office workers. It's so small, it can sit on your desk, and it doesn't really take take up a lot of space or cause a lot of problems. So I would assume that it would feel real nice. Maybe use one of the less aggressive handles to hit your forearms lightly or your traps if you're stuck at a desk all day, or the fact that it just pops into your gym bag nicely.
Based on the amount of space, this is like a quarter of what my Theragun is.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to take it with you somewhere, that is something for sure.
Now, I have a client as well who has every single Theragun thing that they sell. So he's got the big Theragun. He has the little travel size one, which is, I would assume, is a competitor with this one. Have you seen the little travel size Theragun?
Yeah.
Do you have it?
No.
Theragun has vibrating foam rollers, vibrating lacrosse balls, vibrating peanuts. They have everything. Everything vibrates over a Theragun.
Woi.
Hello. So I brought this over to his house, and he said that he had the Theragun Mini, the one that's a competitor for this, and he said it didn't slap at all, and he said it stalled out very easily. And then when I handed him this one to try, just to get his 2 cents, I was like, well, how does this compare to the Theragun Mini that you utilize? And he was like, holy crap, this thing. He was actually pretty impressed that this thing, for how hard it slapped, for how small it is, in comparison to the Theragun, like he says that it's a high-level competitor, at least in regards to their small one. You can compare this one to the actual Theragun. Yeah. The actual Theragun slaps different, I find.
Yeah, I don't know. Like for me, using the same tip, it doesn't really feel that different.
Kind of feels the same?
Yeah, it doesn't feel that different to me. But, at the end of the day, the cost to it is pretty decent as well. Mm-hmm. It's like 3 massage sessions.
Yeah.
And if you have a particular issue that you're trying to train and you can just kind of pull it up and be like, well, yeah. Having a hard go tonight, then it's nice to just be able to grab on and get the thing dealt with. But, is it a replacement for a therapist? No. Is it a replacement for training? No. Can it be something that can provide you some value? I would say yes. Decreasing DOMs on its own for a lot of people. They hate DOMs.
Helping with that soreness, yeah.
So a few of my clients are really sensitive towards that. So I can see it working there as well.
Yeah. I'm just going to jump in here and interrupt for 1 second. If you're interested in getting yourself a Hydragun Atom, you can click the link in the description. That'll get you $15 USD off, and that link is valid until the end of June 2023. The discount will be automatically applied at checkout. And I just want to say thanks again, Hydragun, for giving us the guns for review. And back to the podcast.
At the end of the day, I think it's a good product. Like, it's something that I would absolutely buy. So thanks again, Hydragun. Really appreciate it. And, if you guys...
Howden want to give it a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I'm probably going to put it in my gym bag and have it used often. And I'd probably say more often than my Theragun because I can get it just around places. Size. So, yeah. I don't know why you would take points away for it. Is there anything you'd take away points for? Like, if I was reviewing this on Amazon, I'd give it like a 5 out of 5. Like, I don't see any issues with it that concern me.
Yeah, we can maybe come back to it 6 months down the road and see how they're still holding up for the longevity, but it feels solid. Like, I feel like lasting power. It feels like a quality product, a company that actually cares about their product and their image. Packaging is nice and cares about it, so trying to spread the word. And a bunch of other products that we might be interested in dabbling with.
I'm looking forward to the infrared blanket. There's a lot of research around infrared exposure.
Yeah, that's something I geek out on as well. Cold plunging, infrared saunas, and breath work is stuff that I've really been into over the last 2 years. So if Hydragun, depending on where we go with all this, we would love some infrared blankets. That would be cool. And I've actually seen infrared blankets, but they are pricey as well. Like, infrared blanket on Amazon costs you between $500 to $1,000. Yeah. And I've never used an infrared blanket before, but we've been in infrared saunas as much as we can. So I'm curious on what the difference would feel like. But do massage guns work? Yes, they have their uses. I think we've rammed that one home.
They are specific tools, and in those areas they have value, but they are not everything and a bag of potato chips. Well, thanks for joining us today. Hopefully you got some value out of that. If you have any comments or questions or anything, absolutely reach out. We're going to have to do an episode right away here on cold exposure and infrared and all that sort of stuff. So we're looking forward for that one, but looking forward to seeing you guys again on the next podcast.
Take care. Thanks for joining us this week. We appreciate your support.
If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you would subscribe, follow, and throw us a like on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.